Is the U.S. economy really as good as the Biden administration says it is? Jeffrey Tucker, founder and president of the Beraoneston Institute, joins us to explain why he believes we are already in a silent depression. Jeffrey Tucker, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
Sure, it's a pleasure.
You have an article out titled "Misinformation Police Come for the Economists." Tell us about it.
Well, it's a very strange article in the Washington Post by Taylor Lorenz. I think she has some fame in the journalistic world, hard progressive liberal. But anyway, she's reporting on some guy who said that his McDonald's meal cost $16. She said, well, that's misinformation. And she went on to say that a lot of people think the economy is not going well. That's wrong. The Biden administration correctly points out that we're doing really well. And unfortunately, read on social media that people are having to move out of their apartments to move back home with their parents, that real income's declining, that people are having a hard time, that we're in a silent depression. And then she goes on to quote some unnamed economists. Actually, the article doesn't name any economists, and says that this is dangerous misinformation and needs to be stopped, which is why the White House, she says, is working with social media companies to throttle, deboost, and otherwise censor negative opinions on the economic environment. So the Biden administration is asking us to trust them and not the evidence of our senses.
On that note, is the economy as good as the White House says? How can we tell what it is if every single platform is saying one message?
Right. There's a major problem that the data agencies have become highly politicized. So they're burying the bad news deep in the data and then sending out press releases with all the good news. So it means that every time there's a new report, whether it's the producer price index, consumer price index, the jobs report, the GDP, you have to look really deeply to find out that things are not rosy, things are not good, that credit card debt is extremely high, real income is down, the dollar's lost about 18 cents of value since January 2020. And it's caused enormous suffering among a very large cohort of the population. The American middle class is basically disappearing. You can find this in the data, but you're not going to see it in the press releases. The Biden administration is broadcasting a different message, all focused on the unemployment rate, for example, without mentioning the fact that millions of people have left the job market. It's actually probably closer to 7% once you include those people. So there's a lot of data manipulation going on to make us believe that we're living in a prosperous, growing economy, even though you ask anybody in the streets what they think, and they'll tell you that it's the worst economic times of our lives.